Hi, this is Jim from M&M Tools and Machinery. Today we're going to talk about the jet dust collectors. I'm actually going to show you some other models too to kind of give you reference, but this is actually the main machine we're going to talk about. The stock number 708659K. The purpose of dust collector is to collect dust, right? And walk back here with me and I'll show you. There's lots of different sizes of dust collectors, and we still have guys that want to get, or that want to buy, ooh, that's annoying, that want to buy the little one bag units. So you see the motor differences as you go up, right? Smaller, bigger, and then those are 1.5 horse back there. This is a 1 horse dust collector. This is a little less than a horse. I think this is like 3/4. 500 CFM, 600 CFM, 1100 CFM, and I think the other one's 1200. Okay, so your CFM rating is cubic feet per minute of dust. When you figure in that CFM rating, there's some more things you got to take into account. You need to pay attention to the size of your ducting, to the length of the ducting, to what kind of ducting it is, whether it's PVC or solid pipe or the flex. And the different dust collectors are kind of designed for different things and different lengths and diameters. So the other thing you want to figure in your shop, with dust collection, it's always better to buy bigger than you need, always. So you buy the biggest dust collector that you can afford, and then you'll be able to set up your shop, right? And then if your budget is limited, you want to look at the machines in your shop, and each machine, if you go online, there's lots of reference charts as to which machine requires what CFM. So usually a table saw is 600 CFM, a planer is 600 or more, a miter saw might be 200, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so you add those numbers up, and then you figure in how many machines you're going to be using at a time. So if you're a one-man shop, whether you're a pro or a hobbyist, then if the biggest machine you're going to use is a table saw at 600 CFM, then you can just buy a small dust collector like this, and you would move it around, wheel it around from machine to machine, right? So that's the other thing you would decide, is whether you want to have multiple dust collectors placed, kind of strategically around your shop, or whether you want to buy one dust collector and wheel it around from machine to machine, or whether you want to buy one dust collector and put it in the corner of your shop, or whether you want to buy one big one, put it outside your shop. You just got to kind of make some decisions. So most guys are budget minded in the beginning, at least, and so they'll start with one of these or one of these other ones we're going to talk about. And then as you go on, and as you have a little more money, and after you have a little bit of practice and see what you like and don't like, then you get a bigger dust collectors. Kind of the way it works. Okay, so like I said, 1 horse unit. This isn't Jet brand. This is Steel City. Still a good dust collector, no doubt about it. I'm just showing you this more as a reference point. The Jet 1 horse looks about the same size as this. Okay, so the one thing I do want to show you on this is a 1 micron bag. You can't see it as well because it's dark back here, but it's really, really thick. This right here is a 30 micron bag. So this is still good, but a micron is the size of particle of the dust collector. So 3 microns is a human hair, right? So 1 micron is good, 30 microns isn't as good. And then the other irony with dust is the bigger particles, your body will kind of naturally get out. So whether that's by coughing or snot, whatever it is, your body will kind of naturally get rid of it. The smaller particles are what you have to worry about, because they go in and your body can't necessarily get them out, and so then it becomes a health hazard. So I can't tell you how many guys you talk to and they're like, I've been doing this for 50 years and I haven't used a dust collector. Well, that's fantastic, but when you have the opportunity to use one, it's a good thing to use. So if you can get you want to get the finest filtration that you can get that won't overburden the motor. The benefit to a 30 micron bag in terms of the motor goes is you can get lots of air into there. If you get too much clogging on the bag, then the motor has to work overly hard to get any air through it, and so it can hurt your motor in the long run. That's where you enter in the canisters. Here's the other interesting thing with dust collection. The more dust and crap that you get built up on the bag, the better it filters. So the harder it works the motor, but the better it filters the air. So again, it's just a balance. Most of dust collection is really just a balance. So, I mean, in reality, if you didn't want to have to think about it too much, like overly analyze, really you could just go with this unit or the unit we're going to show you, and you're fine. You really are. And we'll talk about that here in just a jiffy too. If you really want to get into it, set up a full shop system, then you need to do some analysis. You need to kind of figure out your actual needs and then plan ahead. This unit right here is nice, but I have never sold one personally. It's a little bit too small. It'd be great if you were in a really small shop. So there are some of you guys out there that have, you know, a bathroom as your shop, or maybe a 10 by 10 space. This would do just fine for that. I would tell you, if you can swing it to really, you know, step up to this next level, to the 1 horse unit with like a one micron bag. Footprint wise, you're not that much bigger. And going along with that, the negative to those units that have a motor and just one bag, they breathe out of and store the sawdust in the same bag, which means it works your motor harder, and the filtration tends to not be as good just because of that design. These are really easy to move around. So like I said, if you're the type of guy that you want to just spend, like, I think this is only 300 bucks. So if you just wanted to spend 300 bucks and just move this around from machine to machine, that's no big deal. Go for it. On these hose wise, anytime you're using this kind of hose, the corrugated hose, it's great because it's flexible. But each ridge, I don't know if you can see that very well, but each ridge, you lose a little bit of CFM. It's harder on the air to move through that. So solid pipe is better. When you're just setting up a system, most guys will just use this. In the end, hopefully you'll set up a system where you use at least some solid pipe. But if you were doing just this right here, this machine could probably go 10 feet or less of this type of hose, and this machine, you know, is going to be the same. When you get into these 1.5 horse units, you're probably 20 feet or less. Really, if you talk to the manufacturer, if you read some of the reviews, they say like 15 or less on that and 7 feet on this. But again, I would go 10 or less on this, or about the same on that, and then 20 on this or less. So now we'll talk about these a little bit bigger units. Okay, so pluses and minuses. Again, you can see this is a 30 micron bag. Benefit is you can breathe a little better. Negative is, or the machine breathes better. Negative is the filtration isn't as good. But one nice thing on these is this bag on the bottom. Most of them, I don't know if you saw over there, most of them come with a plastic bag on the bottom, which is good unless you get a big chip through there and it spins around and starts slicing up your bag. Most guys just duct tape it as much as they can until they have to throw it away. The bags aren't cheap. Those plastic bags probably run you like 10 to 15 bucks per bag. These ones are like 30 to 60 depending on what kind you get. But a lot of guys that are using it all the time, the pros, they'll either buy one of these, and even though it's not as good a filtration, actually what I've sold a lot of is those 1 micron bags on the Steel City that we just showed you. You put that on the bottom, fill that up and dump it out. But another better way to go would be to buy that type of bag and then use a zipper on the side and pull out the plastic in the middle. The way that the bags attach is also important. Just in terms of the ease of use. I mean, it's important too in terms of air, how much air gets out of the unit, which matters to your efficiency, but ease of use is kind of where I'd show you, because all of them tend to do a pretty good job. So those just have one port because that's all it can handle. These have 2 4-inch ports. Well, if we took that off, there's one 6-inch port back there. Running 6-inch duct, you'll get more efficiency out of your system than 2 4-inch lines. Just depends on what you're doing, but that tends to be the way it is. You can cap this off. There's lots of different dust collection attachments and accessories to go to different machines. You've got blast gates, et cetera, so you can branch off and do a couple of different lines. In terms of attachment, you see how this one attaches? You got this little bar on the outside here. That's pretty common. Down below here, and this is actually pretty cool. Some of these you need 2 guys to put on, some of them you don't, but it just has a little elastic band in there. So when you put it in there, you squish it together, and then once you get up inside, you let it out, you know? And so this one, that little strip is sewn into the bag, which makes it really easy. On the Jet, we're actually missing the bag and the little strip, but you'd wrap your bag around it, flex it in, put it in there, and let it come back out the outside edge. Okay, so this is the main one that we wanted to talk about. All that was kind of preliminaries on dust collection. Another preliminary too is it's really, really easy or more convenient if you get a remote for a dust collector. A lot of times, you know, me included, we get a little lazy. And so if you have to go walk over the 5 or 10 feet to turn on the dust collector, you're not gonna use it. But if you have a remote and you just keep it in your shop apron or whatever, then you're likely to use it. So you just get a remote for these. All of these are single phase 110. And then you just get a remote that matches that. Or if you buy the Powermatic, which we don't have one here, otherwise I'd show you that one, it comes with it, which is cool. Okay, so these jet units are really, really cool. This is a 2 micron canister. We talked about that other Steel City bag, which is a 1 micron bag. So granted, the filtration on this is less. However, the cool thing on this, if you can see the pleats, you see the height of the bag compared to the height of the canister? So the canisters are shorter. One of the reasons is the pleats increase your surface area. So your filtration on this is actually really, really, really good. Granted, it doesn't get down to that 1 micron, but it gets close. And it stays efficient longer because the pleats don't fill up as fast. There's more surface area. And then on top of that, this is the beautiful thing. If it's up to go and clean it, you're gonna use the dust collector itself to vacuum it off, or a shop vac, shake it out, and then if you needed to, you'd go wash it. You try and avoid that if you can. Whereas with the canister filter, you come around and you just spin this. And that's got a little bumper in there. You can see it as we go by. A little bumper that cleans out the pleats for you. I do have to get that. This cone, I'm gonna show you what it looks like without the cone so that you know what it looks like with the cone. Okay, so when you look at right there, there's a hole that goes all the way down, right? So the dust would come in, right here. Where's my port? Right over here, and it flows wherever it wants. So theoretically, most of your heavy stuff falls down, and then just your light stuff goes up there. That theory doesn't always work. The benefit to the cone is your dust comes in through this port right here, comes and it spins around. And what that does is it slows the air down. So it forces more of the dust down below. Whereas this, as the dust is going at such a high velocity that it hits the side of the bag, it hits the bottom, and it always wants to explode up. Well, this one slows it down enough to where you literally get, I'd say, a good 70 to 80% of your dust down in the bag. So again, I thought it was a gimmick, but definitely not a gimmick. It really, really does work. And I've sold a couple of these to guys that have a regular dust collector, and they said there's no comparison. And then you can read your own reviews on it too. In fact, Wood Magazine just did a review. I don't know if I'm supposed to say Wood Magazine in here or not, but Wood Magazine just did a review on these dust collectors, and the Powermatic that has the cone rated really, really well. So the cone combined with the canister make life a lot easier. The canister is easier to clean, easier to keep clean, keeps the motor healthier because it can breathe better. The cone drops the majority of the dust down below so that very little goes up top, which makes you healthier. Again, makes the machine work less and puts less dust in the canister itself. So the canister units cost more by like $200 to $300 more. You can upgrade your current dust collector with the canister. That usually costs you about the same, so it's better to just buy one with the canister. The cone you can't buy. I think Jet got the technology from somebody else. They won't tell me the exact details, but I think they got the technology from somebody else. And so you can't buy this little cone here separate. You have to buy a unit with it in it, but it definitely helps. So that's the reason we want to do the video on this, is as you can kind of see the progression of dust collectors here, this is really the best way to go. I think they're running like $700. They're not cheap, but they'll do a good job for you. Thanks for watching. Call us if you have questions. Sorry that the video was so long. Thanks for watching.